Welcome to Dorset. Today we're at Boscombe Pier and we're here for sunrise. Great to see you all again. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're at Boscombe Pier and this is a bit of a nemesis for me. I've shot it so many times and I've never got a sunrise picture that I've been really happy with. So I'm really hoping today might be the day. Looking behind me at the moment, we've got some nice high level cloud, which is it's quite sparse, but there is some up there and hopefully it should catch and light up. I really would love it if it did. As I say, I've been trying to get a decent picture of this one at sunrise for absolutely ages and the venue just hates me. Every time I come and the forecast looks promising, it all changes at the last minute and it all goes horribly wrong. So I really am hoping that this time it's going to be right. The high level cloud up here looks pretty good at the moment and I'm hopeful that, you know, should we get a reasonable sunrise, it will catch and it will give a little bit of colour, which is exactly what we're after. There's very, very little to shoot here other than the pier itself. There's a couple of small bits and pieces, but that's obviously going to be our main focus today. We're going to go on a super wide angle, 15mm, and we're going to hopefully incorporate as much in as possible. But it all depends on where that cloud goes and how it moves as to where we go. Now, it's quite a low tide here, and to be fair, it's always better to shoot it when it's a higher tide. But, you know, we have what we have and we're going to try and make the most of it. But it should still be quite reasonable. The lights that are on the pier behind me, they tend to go off right around the time of sunrise itself, so they shouldn't interfere in our shot too much. But to be honest, if they are there, I don't mind. I think they look quite nice, so it should add something to it as well. So if they stay on, not a problem. But we're going to go on a reverse grad this morning, and we're not going to go too hard on it, purely because we've got a gap at the bottom of the pier where you can also see the horizon, and you know, if you try and sort of push it over the pier, you're going to darken down the pier anyway. So I'm going to rely on the dynamic range of the camera really to be able to pull those details out, and I'm fairly confident we'll be able to do that here, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. It's about 25 minutes till sunrise at the moment, and I'm slightly nervous as this cloud system does seem to be moving slightly round to the right here, which is not ideal for our position. Really and truly, we want it right over the back of this pier, but there still should be enough for us to get a reasonable shot out of it, as long as that sun starts colouring up pretty soon. So we'll just have to be patient and see what it throws at us. But at the moment, looks quite reasonable. I'm hoping we'll nail a decent shot. As I say, we've got quite a low tide today, and that's not ideal. The best time really to shoot it is high tide, because you're going to get the ability to do sort of wave trails and give a lot more foreground interest to the shot, which we're not really going to get today. There's not much swell out there either, so it's really not going to help our case. So we're going to have to rely on the sky being pretty good and colouring up nicely. And, you know, if we can do anything with, there's a little bit of foreground on the other side, so when the sun comes up, we might be able to get something. But as you can see behind me, we've got a little bit of colour just starting now. So I'm going to start taking a few pictures and hopefully we're going to be able to nail something reasonable. That colour's really starting to kick off behind me now, and it's looking really good, so hopefully we should end up with a decent image, but it's very, very low in the sky, so we're going to have to get a little bit further back from the pier to try and incorporate it. So I'm not going to get the best composition, but we're just, as I say, going to have to make do with what we've got at the moment. There's some really nice tones that are forming in the sky, but the composition is the real struggle here at the moment. I mean, there's just very, very little you can go for, but you know, we're going to try and make the best of it, but I'm not really too sure what we can do other than the standard, you know, shot of a pier either side on, or a bit of perspective view on there. There is some sky out here that looks like it might colour up a bit. If that does, then we're going to be able to get that much better sort of perspective looking down view. But yeah, it's a bit of a struggle still, this one, but the colour is there and it's looking quite reasonable. And even behind me, there is some colour in the clouds there as well. So it's possible we might be able to nip over the other side and get a slightly different dynamic on the pier from a different angle. So all to play for, and we'll see how we get on. Well, the colour was a little bit disappointing, to be honest, this morning. It was very, very short-lived. It really didn't last long at all. Probably about four, maybe 5 minutes of, you know, nice sort of pink cloud on top, but it wasn't spectacular. You know, as I say, just the way it goes, really. So what we're going to do, we're going to wait for the sun to come up. Once it comes up, hopefully some nice light will fall on the pier itself, and we'll be able to maybe recompose, get a different type of shot, and do something with that. But yeah, a little bit disappointed this morning. Once again, my nemesis has been mean to me, but you know, I've got used to it by now, so no big deal. Well, I've got to be honest, it's been a fairly disappointing morning, really. The colour was good to start with, but right now the sun has come up, but it's really, really muted. It's behind a lot of high level cloud, and it's just not getting through. So the light's not really sort of pouring onto the pier as I'd hoped for. Couple that with the fact that it's low tide and we're not really going to get any swell here, it makes doing any wave trails pretty much impossible. So it's not been the best shoot, unfortunately, but that is the way it goes. And you know, I'll just have to come back another day and get it again. What we've done now, just while the available light is there, I've gone up to f16 and I'm dragging out our exposure time just a little bit to just over a second, to between, you know, somewhere between 1 second and 1.6 seconds. And we're just trying to make the most of any little water movement that's here. I mean, there really isn't a lot, so we're not going to get some, you know, real true cracking wave trails here. But as I say, we're just trying to make the best of it as we can at the moment. So, you know, see if we can just nail something on the shot front. In order to try and make the best of the situation, which isn't great to be fair, I'm going to stick on a 6-stop filter and do a couple of long exposures just to flatten out that water. I mean, as you can see, it's pretty calm out there already at the moment, to be honest, so it doesn't need an awful lot of flattening out. So we're only looking at an exposure time of around 30 seconds or so on here, but just might make for a bit more of an interesting shot. As I say, normally I'd try and shoot a wave trail, but because there's just no swell here at all, it just makes it virtually impossible. And, you know, just going to have to accept conditions as they are, and as I say, try and make the most of them with a little bit of a long exposure and see how that one comes out. What we're trying to do now, as the sun's come up, we've got these little boulders which are here. They're not actually genuine real boulders. They're moulded ones that have been put here, and they're meant to represent different areas of the Dorset coast. I've got to be honest, the only one that I actually even recognise would be Durdle Door there. I don't know what the others are supposed to represent, but we've got a nice bit of sunlight coming in, and it's actually going onto these boulders, so it adds a little bit of foreground interest. But the one real problem with this shot is it leaves such a large amount of negative space in the sky. So reality is a 16:9 crop is probably going to be the best thing for us here, or even a 2:1 or 3:1 pano. But you know, the conditions don't really call for it to do a pano at the moment. So I think I'm going to stick with a 16:9 crop and see how I get on. But yeah, it's nice to get a little bit of light on there. So we should end up with something at least. I'll stick a couple of images up. Let me know what you think in the comments. It'd be great to hear from you. I mean, to be honest, it's been not a great morning shoot, but I think we've ended up with a reasonable image of the boulders here. But now it's all getting a little bit too people-y for me down here. There's one or two wandering around, so I think I'm probably going to call time on it and knock it on the head and head back and have a look at these pictures instead. I really hope you guys have enjoyed Boscombe Pier today. It's, as I say, a bit of a nemesis for me, so I'm pretty sure you're going to see this one again at some point, but I will be back and I will get a decent sunrise from it at one point. But thank you so much for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you've enjoyed today. If you hit that like button, it really helps the video to get out, so please do hit that. And if you're not a subscriber, please do consider subscribing. I've got loads more content coming up and hopefully a little bit further afield very soon. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Take care.